Hello and welcome. This is Fireworks, your preferred hard talk interview program on TVC. So the presidential and governorship elections have come and gone, but the lessons remain. Some, albeit, will stay for some time to come. What are those lessons? Who are the protagonists? Who are the villains? What are the implications of the gains and the losses? These are some of the questions that will feature very much in our discourse today on Fireworks. As I bid you welcome, let's take a moment. Thank you for staying tuned to Fireworks today. My guest on the program is a governorship aspirant in the just concluded elections in Oyo State in the person of Engineer Joseph Olasunkanmi Tegbe. Thank you for your time, sir.
Okay, nice meeting you.
Okay, so let's start this way. Tell me about your foray into politics. Let's get to know, well, to have an idea of your profile, first of all.
I've been in corporate world, and I'm still in corporate world over the last 30 years. But I believe in three pillars, developmental pillars of life, which is basically your first goal in life is to develop self, to develop yourself, which is why we go to school, which is why we want to have masters, we want to have PhD. But the next thing is that you must develop people to be a successful person. And that is why people like you in your profession must have proteges that you develop, people that you mentor. That's the second phase in the pillars of development in life. But the last phase, which is the most important, is the community. How do you leave the community better than you met it? How do you leave the state and nation better than you met it? I've been consulting for government for the last 20 years. And I'm talking about working directly with former President Olasunkanmi alongside with Governor.
We'll look at extensively at your consultancy work. I'm more interested in your foray into politics.
I'm coming to that. So I've been working, consulting for government for the last 20 years. And basically what I discovered was, look, you give advices, out of 10 advices, people implement 3. They implement 4. And your questions are why? Why can't you implement the 10? Because the 10 mean well. And it was that question that prompted me to say, you know what? If I've been giving advices to people over the last 20 years, and they've not been implementing all those, why can't I try it myself? So rather than giving advices, let me be the one implementing those advices. That was what triggered my foray into politics. To say, rather than being the person recommending, let me be the person implementing. And in the course of that, and to align with my pillars of development pillars in life, I believe that, look, if I'm in the position of implementing, that I'll be able to do more for the society and for the people.
So you've been consulting for government for some time, since the days of former President Olasunkanmi.
Yeah.
But your activity in politics is only as recent as a few years ago, say 4 years. Is that what you said?
Active activities, yes.
4 years. So how active are you at the grassroots level in Oyo State? Particularly, what earned you that pole position, well, before the candidate was picked? What earned you that pole position as the preferred person to run for the Oyo governorship race on the platform of the All Progressives Congress?
Among other things, I think 3 things. Number 1 is that I've been a major advisor to Governor Ajimobi in the last 8 years. When Governor Ajimobi came to governance in Oyo State, I was one of the people that sat down with him to develop the strategic roadmap for Oyo State. From infrastructure to human capital development, to healthcare to education. And that made me, he then nominated me as a member of the socio-economic management in Olasunkanmi. And since then, I've been supporting his government. So I understand his cardinal programs. So that was one. The second thing was, so I knew all the programs that the state, strategy of the state and activities of the state.
So indeed it is true that Governor Ajimobi had been preparing you to take over from him as his successor.
I don't think that was the intention.
But you were the preferred candidate among the lot.
Among the lot for the people, not specifically Governor Ajimobi. Governor Ajimobi supported me. He would have loved me to take over from him.
Absolutely, he would have preferred
but I was not
to take
prepared.
over from him.
I was not prepared.
Would you say that your ambition was sacrificed on the altar of politics, party politics?
I would not say it was sacrificed. I think sometimes for those who are outside, there are things that are much more important. For purpose of peace to reign, and for the unity of the party, if you are a God-fearing politician, you should cede your decisions to the unity and the generality and the supremacy of the party. I won't say it was sacrifice, because I don't believe I've lost that completely. I believe when this is my time, I will.
So how did you and Governor Ajimobi take the decision of the party to field someone else?
How did I can only say for myself. It was not an easy decision to take. It happened the night before the primaries, where I was asked to step down. I was asked to step down, and I wasn't convinced, because my supporters, my teaming supporters, were on their ways from Okiogun, from Ibarapa, from Oyo, from Ogbomosho, to come for the primaries. But I was asked to step down for the supremacy of the party, for unity of the party. I didn't take it it wasn't easy for me. But then I look at the supremacy of the party, and one thing is that I'm a very God-fearing, I'm a God-fearing human being. And I believe that everything that comes my way is for a purpose. I decided to take it calmly and believing that, look, if it's my anointed time, it will come without.
Interesting.
Coffee.
So you believe that had you been picked as a party's candidate, you would have secured victory for the party?
It's a high possibility.
High possibility.
Very high possibility.
You are confident that you are a grassroots politician?
Let me tell you, in 6
How
months.
influential are you?
In 6 months.
How influential are you in Oyo, in Ibadan? I gather you're from Ibadan.
I'm from Ibadan.
So how influential are you in Ibadan?
Now, for you to even understand the dynamics better, I'm from Ibadan. My roots are Ibadan. I grew up in Oyo town. I married from Ogbomosho. So I have 3 tentacles. I concentrated, I was the only aspirant, go and find out, in the 6 months of campaign for primaries, that went to all the 33 local governments. I campaigned in all 33 local governments for primaries. It was like I was campaigning.
So when you call in Oyo State, thousands will answer.
I can tell you that.
But I watched the event where you called your supporters to appeal to them, to show understanding, because you had stepped down for the party's decision to prevail. The people that turned up for that event were not as much as 2,000.
Now, what I did at that particular meeting was I selected 5 people from each of the local governments. 33 local governments. They were even less than, there were about 500 people that I called. I called them for a meeting to appeal to them to go back to the local government and speak with my teaming supporters. I didn't call, it wasn't a rally. It was a meeting of the leadership of a Vanguard group. I have a Vanguard group in Oyo State today. They call it OJT Vanguard, Olasunkanmi Tegbe Vanguard. It's in all the 33 local governments of the state. I have a state ESCO that is made of about 22 ESCO members. I have leadership on a zonal basis and leadership on a local government basis. So I have grassroots presence in every local government.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting. Today. So, but let's look at the turnout of the election. For instance, Ibadan North, let's look at the results. The PDP polled 68 votes to the APC's 35. Let's go to Ibadan North, Ward 3. The PDP polled 110, APC polled 37. Let's look at other areas now, away from Ibadan. Methodist Primary School, Fiditi, Atiba. The PDP polled 112, the APC polled 71. So what happened to your support base? Didn't you make available your imposing support base to help the party gain some inroad and get some votes that could have, resulted in victory for the APC in Oyo State?
Thank you, Buki, for that question. First of all, after I stepped down, it took a lot of effort for me to even appeal to my support base, who became disenfranchised, who became very disgruntled with the process and the decision to ask me to step down. Monday before the election, I went to see the G9 leaders, who are the 9 top leaders of APC in Ibarakwa. I had to go and appeal to them to support and garner support for the party.
Did they listen to you?
They listened to me.
Do you have evidence of these meetings?
The video is there.
Because there are reports.
No, the video is there.
Credited to, you know, the person, Bayo Adelabu, who eventually represented the party in the governorship election, saying that you worked against him.
Okay, that is business. It is a no-no. There's no element of truth in that.
No element of truth that you worked against him?
Absolutely.
Or that he said so?
That I worked against him.
So he said so?
He said so. I learned he said so.
Was it true that there was a fisticuffs between both of you?
There was no fisticuffs between two of us. I supported the party. I'm a 200% party member and party supporter today. I went across the state to garner support for APC. However, if you look at the trend of the results, you see that, and you know, it's a subject of that particular election. You know, is a subject of is in tribunal today. So I will have to be. I'm not going to go into details of some of those things. But the truth at the end of the day was that we were at the point in time where the party itself, and it's a known fact, I'm sure if you've done, your research would have shown you, we were too fragmented as a party going into that election. We had people who had gone to ADC, people who had gone to ADP, and all sorts of places. And we were spending time, and we did not, we didn't spend enough time to pull people together. So it's not a Tegbe. Tegbe was not on the ballot. It's
but if you were as influential as you say you are,
yeah.
If you had told your supporters, look, I've stepped down from this race, this is the person you should support, they ought to have listened to you.
They listened to
it
me.
happens in other parts of Nigeria.
You know, in other parts of Nigeria.
Absolutely.
The truth at the end of the day was that I appealed to my people.
But they didn't listen to you.
People listened
they
to
voted.
me.
They
No.
voted. If they listen to you, we'll see the result.
Is the only one.
We'll see the result.
Is the only one. Is the only
the election, the outcome of the election.
Okay, if you allow me explain. Tegbe appealed to people to vote. I'm from the same local government as the candidate. So is it a reflection of Tegbe alone? We're from the same local government, Ibadan Southeast. So why is it Tegbe? Why is Tegbe the issue? Everybody is saying Tegbe. It shows that there must be some element of popularity.
Because there are reports that you didn't reconcile after Adelabu had been picked and you had to sacrifice your ambition.
Reconcile?
Yes.
What is the reconciliation about? Were we fighting?
So is it true that another reason that may be adduced to the defeat of the APC in the Oyo election is that the Oyo people do not want the influence of Lagos in Oyo politics?
Chimakere was probably referring to the influence of Asiwaju Tinubu. Asiwaju Tinubu is the national leader of APC. Asiwaju Tinubu is somebody that will refer, is somebody that I refer, is somebody that we all respect. That a national leader strategizes for the party all over the country. What is wrong with that? Now, I've never saw it as a notion that Asiwaju Tinubu was imposing a candidate on us. Adelabu was not brought overnight. Adelabu and I were aspirants from day one. Okay? The bottom line at the end of the day was that, look, he's from Ibadan, He's equally qualified to be a candidate, as I am. That's the fact. However, it could be that I'm more accepted or is more accepted by the people. And if you look at it, people are getting more discerning. They are getting more discerning because if you look at the pattern of the vote, candidates will vote for Senate, vote for this person, for House of Assembly, they vote for this party. So they were choosing the candidate they prefer. Like I told you, the issue and challenge and put it on facts, put it on record, that we had in Oyo State APC was were very, fragmented as a party going to that election.
I wonder if it is because you were fragmented, or it is a vote of no confidence, clear one at that, on the APC, on the government of Abiola Ajimobi. But you answer that after the break. You're watching Fireworks. My guest today is a governorship aspirant in the just concluded election in Oyo State in the person of Engineer Joseph Tegbe. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thank you for staying tuned to Fireworks. If you've been following us or if you've just joined us, my guest today is governorship aspirant in the election in the person of Engineer Joseph Olasunkanmi Tegbe. Thank you for your patience so far. So you
thank you, Buki.
Didn't lose. You didn't quite lose in your own polling unit. But
I did not lose in my polling unit.
The PDP defeated you in
local government.
Ibadan Southeast.
Yes.
So that speaks to your popularity that you talk so much about.
You always talk about popularity, and I think we should not. Honestly speaking, Buki, you should not underestimate our people's designing, our people's intelligence in terms of, making choices. The reality was that Tegbe is not on the ballot paper. So when you say, it's like saying because APC lost in Oyo State, is a referendum on Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the national leader.
So that brings me to the question I asked before the break. Okay, go ahead.
Allow me to finish, please. So the reality is that it could be a myriad of things. But like I told you earlier on, the party was fragmented. We had people who had gone to ADC. We had people who had gone to ADP. It was last minute we were trying to pull them together. I went into a meeting 5 days before the election with former Governor Akala, trying to solicit, and it's on record, trying to solicit my support. And I told him, you don't need to solicit my support. I'm an APC strong member and leader, and so I'm totally committed to APC. But the issue on hand requires a lot more work, because a lot of people are not happy. They've gone to other parties. You need to bring them back. And if you do remember, there are a lot of meetings that the national leader had with people like Fatai Bikunle, Soji, a couple of other people, even in Bodilon. And then they all said, oh, they're coming back. You understand? But if people destroy, in politics, if you understand politics well enough, what people have destroyed over 2 years, it's difficult to put it together in 2 days. And that's the kind of things we saw. And that's the reality.
Is it not a vote of confidence on the government of Abiola Ajimobi, who is in fact taking a lot or the major blame for the loss of the APC in Oyo State?
I will not hold brief for anybody, but let me put facts very clearly, and very, very clearly. Joseph Tegbe was not on the ballot. And when I said Joseph Tegbe was not on the ballot, it's not a literary statement. And don't hold it very lightly. If Joseph Tegbe were to be on the ballot, my approach would have been different. I told you during the primaries, I campaigned in 33 local governments. I knew there were issues, and I would have addressed some of the issues. And I would have campaigned in all the 33 local governments.
Okay.
Let me finish. Extensive campaign to make sure that people, and I would have made attempt to also reconcile some of the people that have left before the election. Now, you're back to Governor Ajimobi, which was your question. Look, Governor Ajimobi is my leader. He's somebody I referred. Brilliant man, but highly misunderstood. Brilliant, eloquent, great guy, but highly misunderstood. The reality is that I will not say it's a referendum or a protest or no confidence. No. The reality is that if you ask me to judge how well he has done in Oyo State today, he has done extremely well. When we met in 2011, his ambition, his vision was to create a modern Oyo State.
But what about some of his policies? For instance, the chieftaincy elevation thing that pretty much divided Oyo.
Let me tell you, one of the major events,
which we saw in the result of the election.
One of the major events that's also been alluded is Ayefele. Ayefele's matter. Who reconciled Ayefele and Ajimobi? I did. When Ayefele's, for clear contraventions of government rules and guidelines, Ayefele's building was pulled down. But I intervened on a humanitarian, compassionate basis. And today, Ayefele has a better, more magnificent building than ever before. You understand? The truth at the end of the day is that Ajimobi is not perfect. But sometimes, a leader also needs people around him who will help and guide some major decisions or some. If I were, and I told you, if I had been the candidate for APC, my focus would have been on reconciliation. My focus would have been on ameliorating and understanding the concerns.
Do you believe he also made mistakes in that regard?
Yeah, of course.
With how
it's not perfect.
Party members,
it's not perfect.
You know, went to your tent so Israel looking to other parties to fill their ambitions.
I just told you now, he's a brilliant man, highly misconstrued. It's not perfect. Okay? He could have made mistakes. You understand? But again, at the end of the day, did we as a party leave it too late to address some of those concerns? We could have addressed them earlier. And I told you an example, which I personally intervened. When Ayefele's building was pulled down, the state was going to go on fire. I left everything for a whole week, you know.
What about his management of the Lautech crisis? Is that also one factor that worked against the APC's chances? Because it appears as if it's a build-up of the mistakes of the administration.
I think there are mistakes. It's not perfect. Are there good things, great things he did? Yes. You understand? He's a very eloquent man. People say he talks too much. But the reality is that, look, sometimes our people don't, sometimes he says the truth. But will I hold brief for Ajimobi? I will not hold brief for Ajimobi.
Perhaps another factor is
he made a lot of mistakes.
He wanted to control all of the contracts. You are close to him, so you would know that. Contracts. If that was true or not.
I was not a government staff. How will I know about contracts?
But you worked closely with him?
I'd never
a member of his economic
I'd never,
management team?
I was never, mark my word, I was never involved in any contract award. The mandate of OSEMAT, which I belong to, was limited to strategy.
With a view to succeeding him after his 2-year tenure. But unfortunately,
is it a bad ambition?
That didn't happen.
But is it a bad
But you're going to return?
By the grace of God.
In 2023.
By the grace of God.
Okay, so we'll see how that turns out. Now, as we make progress, apart from being an ally of Governor Abiola Ajimobi, apart from being a grassroots politician, you're also featuring very prominently in policy formulation at the federal level. Will I be right in order if I captured it that way?
Very correct.
Yes, you are a lead consultant to the Presidential Summit on Education to review challenges of the education sector and prefer solutions.
I was the lead consultant in the development of education roadmap for Nigeria.
Okay, and there was a summit in 2018. Am I correct?
Go ahead.
So can you tell me some of the recommendations that this education summit made?
I was the lead consultant in the development of economic roadmap for the country. The issue is not as if we have enough analysis. We knew that the challenges of education is access, funding. These are the major issues in education today. We recommended what needed to be done. It takes political will for you to look at the percentage of contributions, budget contribution to education today. It's one of the lowest, even in developing countries today.
So what were your recommendations in that regard?
We should push it up.
Push it up to what?
Minimum is recommended 10%. And I can tell you one thing, especially for a country that has receded, you should do, even if it's possible, 10 to 12%. However, we also recommended for tertiary education that you cannot leave government alone to fund tertiary education. We recommended alternative funding, looking for private sector partnership, looking for grants. Those things were recommended, which is what I told you prompted my desire to go into politics.
Because your recommendations
my
were not
recommendations
adopted.
We are not
okay,
putting
so
enough.
you are in the corridors of power. Tell us.
We're not putting enough.
Tell us what may be responsible. Is there?
There's a difference between being a consultant and being the governor or being the president or being a minister. You understand? If I make recommendation, even for a private company, it's left for you as a board.
You work in the corridors of power. So help us understand some of the limitations of government, some of the pressures on government that may, necessitate such small amounts dedicated to education.
The myriad of challenges you have in this country is enormous. If you look at a typical state or federal or nation on its own, this is a country that has significant infrastructural deficit. Talk about power, talk about road, talk about rail. Infrastructural deficit is not something we can cover in the next 10 years or 20 years at the rate we are going. Now, most of the time, you can't fix infrastructural deficit by government funding alone. PPP has to be. For you to address and make sure PPP works, the enabling environment has to be right, which is why working with the current Minister for Industries and Trade and Investment, the focus of Vice President and the Minister is to create enabling environment, ease of doing business in Nigeria. And I think we've achieved significantly enough. Because if you don't attract foreign funding, you will not get counterpart funding for infrastructural development. If you get that, if we continue on the track that we have started, we will bridge infrastructural deficit over time. There's a new policy that's just been issued, which is the road tax fund, where private sector can actually develop roads. And so a Dangote can develop roads to Apapa and get tax refund based on that, because government does not have enough money. Things that APC has achieved in the last 4 years are quite significant. Empower was not there before. Do you know what 20,000 naira, 30,000 naira difference makes the vegetable seller to the woman selling bolia and akara? It makes significant. If you get those people registered and properly collated, and you support them on a regular basis. My foundation supports people like that. And I've seen significant difference to their life. And I think that's a path we should continue as a nation.
It made a significant difference, especially weeks to the election, when those funds were handed out. I understand your limitations, sir.
At least
which form your reasons for your inability to criticize your party, but I thank you very much for your time.
I will always criticize what is wrong. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time on Fireworks. And that's our offering on the program today. I hope that I've been able to bring you an aerial view of some of the events that led to the outcome, that significant outcome of the election in your state. That's why I urge you to join me again, same time next week, when we bring you another interesting edition of the program. On behalf of the crew, I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo. Bye for now. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Nice meeting you again.